Talking Michigan football with the season less than 3 weeks away. We got Justin Rowe on the line, of course, from Blue by 90. It's blueby90.com. You catch all the podcasts right there that upload on Mondays and Fridays. Justin, how you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. It's finally camp season. It feels good to say that. Real football is right around the corner, which is it's always a good time.
This is an interesting lineup of topics we got for you this week. It's not like, oh, let's review the offensive line and the linebackers and the whatever. It's, okay, where did this come from and where did that come from? And okay, so we'll start from the top with Eyabi Anoma, who was a top recruit. So I interviewed this student athlete 5 years ago. I just found it. And it took this happened 3 days ago that it was announced that he was added as a graduate transfer to the Michigan roster, and it had enrolled in school. And it took me 2 or 3 days to remember that I actually interviewed him when he committed to Alabama. But he was this phenom of an athlete who didn't play much high school football. He had been a soccer, or I believe it was a soccer player. But anyway, he didn't have much football experience in his background, but was just such a freak of an athlete that he was ranked the third best defensive end in the country. And then he commits to Alabama. He goes to Houston. He goes to an FCS school. He's all over the place based on academic and other off-field issues. But here he lands at Michigan.
Yeah. Going back to him out of high school, he was the 49th ranked recruit of all time. 49th ranked was according to 247. So, the talent is obviously there, but Mark, you and I have talked about this before, and you know it better than anybody. Talent is not all that you need. You need more than that. And so, if would I say I'm shocked to see him on Michigan's roster? 1000%, because this is not usually what Michigan does. It's not, Michigan with their academics and their standards and, yada, yada, yada. They're not ones to go and take a gamble on a guy like this. Honestly, that's hurt them in the transfer portal. We've seen that already. So a little bit surprising, but I think the connection here was that Biff Poggi, who's on Michigan staff right now as an analyst, was his high school coach. So that's obviously the connection. And so it's one of those things where Jim Harbaugh must be saying, all right, Biff, if you think you can get this kid turned around, he's obviously talented and we can use him on the roster. So I think for Michigan, in terms of the need of depth at the edge position, it's obvious after losing Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo last year that they're going to need some more bodies there. So if it all works out, which I think is a huge if, it could be a really big piece for Michigan this year.
Yeah, if you want to look at the 247 ranking, everyone, Eyabi Anoma, I should post the name to the banner because it's not the easiest to spell. But yeah, he was the #1 player at his position, #1 weak side defensive end. He was the 4th rated player in his class. He was right at the top. And there I see it. I didn't realize that 49th all time recruit in history of rankings.
Is that not insane? This is not some schlub. It's pretty crazy to have him go under the radar here. But it's I think the one thing for me is okay, if he's skipping classes at Alabama and in Houston and all these places, how is school going to go for him at the University of Michigan? Classes may be difficult. But when you look at what he did at UT Martin, where he ended up for the last couple years, he's 6'6", 270. Looks like he's lean and fast. And he had quite a few sacks. His stats were not terrible. So it's obviously UT Martin. That's a different level of football than Big Ten football. But I think it's a piece here. Like I said, if it works out, all of a sudden he's in there and can make an impact here for Michigan on the defense.
with him staying on the field at UT Martin, maybe that's an indication that he's matured and grown up a little bit, and he actually is going to apply himself enough elsewhere to be able to stay on the field. You mentioned him at 6'6", 270. That's an inch taller. He's 25 pounds heavier than he was when he enrolled. Originally was scouted by 247 Sports and others. Yes, intriguing. We'll keep an eye on that. Replacing Hutch and Ajabo, may not be able to do that, but he's a freak of an athlete. There's no question about that.